Okay, can you all hear me? All right, just checking. The mic feels very far away, but those of you who know me know I'm pretty loud, so I can probably hold my own. So I want to welcome you all, weird with my back being towards you, to our PTA forum, and thank you all for taking time out to come. We really appreciate it. We do have refreshments on both sides that the PTA put out, so please at any time feel free to grab a water, a soda, anything that you might need. So with that, I just kind of want to begin real quick and just tell you what the overall purpose of the PTA is, and that is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. So with that said, there's been great care and due diligence in preparing for this event. The objective is for all candidates to present their position in a fair and unbiased way. So in order for that to happen, we're respectfully asking that you all have no cheering, clapping, booing, hissing, you know, basic second grade behavior, so that everybody kind of has a fair chance to have their say. And if this becomes an issue, which we know it won't because you're all adults and we're all good, but we will have, we do have some watchdog dads who graciously volunteer their time, and they will kind of ask you to remove yourself from the audience if we feel like it's a concern. So we have our candidates here, and I'm just going to introduce them, but then they're actually going to speak for themselves. So Susan Miller, Theresa Henry, Jeff Hicks, and Micah Partain, who chose not to join us today. And I'll let her speak for herself, perhaps at another forum on why she chose to do that. So that is kind of our brief introduction. I'm going to go over the format, which our candidates have already heard about, that we are going to have 6 basic questions. They will all be given the same 6 questions. They will have 2 minutes to answer those questions. Shonda has agreed to be our lovely timekeeper for us, and she will give a verbal warning when they have 30 seconds to conclude. And then we have the magic bowl up there, and there are we asked for questions to be submitted, and we have, let me tell you exactly how many we have. We have 98 questions that were submitted. With the, exception of spelling errors or grammatical errors, we kept these questions true to the way that they were written. We did remove some duplicate questions just so we don't have 3 questions in a row of tell us about yourself, tell us about yourself. So we did remove some duplicates, but the questions are written in the manner that they were provided to us. So you'll have to excuse me if I stumble over words or don't read them correctly because I haven't had a lot of time with them and they are not my words. So that is the format. They'll have 7 questions that they'll draw randomly from the bowl. Of those 7 questions, they'll have 90 seconds to answer those random questions. And again, Shonda will give a 30-second warning when we are done with that. So with that, we are going to start with our first question, and we're going to ask Susan to start for us. So in 2 minutes, tell us about yourself, your education, your family, and your background.
Hi, I'm Susan Miller. Trying to get used to the echo up here, so if I'm echoing, I apologize. My education background, I've got a Bachelor's of Science in Business from Murray State University with a focus in computer information systems. I've been employed by a major Fortune 500 company here in Memphis for 18 years. I'm a tech lead in the firewall VPN area. I'm very methodical in that. My family, I have a 20-year-old son who's now a sophomore at UT Martin. He went to LES starting in 2001, went through AMS and AHS. He was the AHS mascot for his senior year. And more from my background, I have a 7-year-old stepdaughter that we just got custody of permanently from last year, and she has to attend Donaldson Elementary, which is part of the reason I got involved with the school issue is because as a Lakeland resident, I was not aware that my student couldn't go to Lakeland at the time. And that was very upsetting. And seeing as that my son attended this school, I wanted my stepdaughter to attend it as well. And to be turned away at the door by the principal was just disheartening. So she now attends Donaldson. It's an excellent school. It's one of the reward schools. I'm proud of that. But I'm also proud of the Lakeland schools as well. So I think that's together my background, family, and education. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have Theresa Henry.
Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. I'd like to tell you a little bit why I think you should re-elect me to the Lakeland School Board. A little bit about myself. I'm happily married to Theresa Henry, which generously puts up with me and all the time that I spend with the Lakeland School Board. I have a son, 2 daughters, and 3 grandchildren. My son attends Arlington High School. My youngest daughter just graduated from Rider University and works for GE in the finance department. My oldest daughter lives in North Carolina. Her husband is stationed at Fort Bragg, and she's there with her 3 children. My husband and I have lived in Lakeland for 10 years. We moved here so that my son could continue his education in the Lakeland schools. When he was in kindergarten, between kindergarten and first grade, they did some rezoning, and I liked Lakeland, and I said, that's where my kid's gonna go to school. I was born and raised here in Shelby County. I grew up in Bartlett and graduated from Bartlett High School, then attended State Technical Institute, where I majored in accounting and computer programming. When I started in the workforce, I started as a file clerk in a medical office. Through determination, I worked my way up through several promotions to be assistant office manager. From there, I left where I could manage my own medical office. I was in charge of all aspects of the daily operations of the facility, including payroll and accounts payable. I had to manage the office and provide services needed to the patients and staff, while they also being held to a fixed budget. When I was an employee benefits manager, I administered all phases of the employee benefits program for a multi-location IT consulting firm for 1,800 employees nationwide. So I have an extensive background, not only just as volunteering in the schools, but also in the business world. In my volunteerism through the PTA and different boosters clubs, I was awarded the Life Achievement Award through the Shelby County PTA, and I'm currently on the Lakeland School Board. I'm a liaison to the Arlington Community. That's it. Okay.
Thank you. Jeff Hicks.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jeff Hicks. Sorry about that. Born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm one of 6 kids. Went through 12 years of Catholic schools in Little Rock. When I was a junior in high school, I was an exchange student to Japan for the summer. I kind of marked one of my adventures into traveling internationally, and I would continue that later in my life. I went to Vanderbilt on an NROTC scholarship, and upon graduation and commissioning, I went to flight training down in Pensacola, Florida. While I was waiting to start flight school, I had an opportunity to attend graduate school, and I achieved a Master of Science in Management from Troy State University while I was waiting. Flight training was in Pensacola, Florida, South Texas, and eventually in San Diego. I joined a fleet Navy squadron where I deployed twice to the Persian Gulf and got over 300 carrier arrested landings. At the end of that phase of my life, I decided, you know what, it's time, my wife and I decided we wanted to start a family, and it's time to leave active duty. It's time to leave, going away for 6 months at a time. So I left active duty. I pursued a job with FedEx, and I've been there since 2002. I was an instructor in the Navy. I've been an instructor for FedEx now for 5 years. My kids are Olivia, who's 10, a 5th grader here at Lakeland, and Charlie, who's a kindergartner.
30 seconds.
My wife, Krista, and I have been married for 19 years. As I mentioned, I love to travel, and I've been to 28 countries and 5 continents. I'm an avid runner, shooter, and hunter. I've completed 2 marathons, and I'm currently training for the St. Jude Marathon Relay, and that's me.
Thank you. And candidates also, I know that the basic questions are pretty straightforward, but at any time you need the question repeated, if we're going in order, please don't hesitate. And then we can repeat the question. That won't count towards your time. So the second question, and we're going to have Theresa go lead us off on this one, is what makes you qualified to be a member of the Lakeland School Board?
For the past 2 years, I've been a Lakeland School Board member, and I have a proven ability to lead our school system. Our first year of accomplishments in the Lakeland school system, we became an exemplary school district. That's one of 12 in the state of Tennessee. Lakeland Elementary was also a reward school, which is the top 5% in the state of Tennessee. Lakeland school system average TCAP score, we ranked #1 in the state of Tennessee. We also ranked as level 5 school in all of our categories, which is the highest that you can obtain. Lakeland school system came in approximately 8.5% under budget. Before and after care, we brought that in-house, which allows us to offer additional activities and academic enrichment. For the past 4 years, I have been involved in the Lakeland school system as a citizen and as a current school board member. I've researched and developed all policies for the startup of the Lakeland school system. I was involved in the grassroots movement to ensure municipal school legislation was passed in Nashville. I've met with legislators regarding the education of the Lakeland children. I've been involved in the local schools for over 10 years, advocating for education for the children of Lakeland. The past 2 years I've been on the Lakeland School Board. I was appointed as a liaison to the Arlington School Board and the Ethics Committee. I have attended training sessions through the TSBA, which is the Tennessee School Board Association, and I'm 1 session away from being a level 1 school board member. I'm fiscally conservative. As you know, we came up with our budget that's been shown. 30 seconds? Okay. I have proven leadership skills. I've held numerous positions within the leadership of the PTA and booster board organizations. Again, I was also awarded the Lifetime PTA Achievement Award and was appointed to the Ethics Committee of the Lakeland School Board. Thank you.
Jeff Hicks.
So why am I qualified to be a member of the school board? That's the question, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I can boil that down to kind of 3 things. 1, passion. 2, experience. And 3, grassroots involvement. Okay, yeah, I feel like I have a passion for education. I'm one of 6 kids. My oldest sibling has Down syndrome, but the other 5 of us all attended and completed college degrees. My parents always stressed education, education, education. That is one of my passions, and that is what I will bring to the table for the families of Lakeland. So I have a strong passion for education. I feel like I have a good personality for it. I feel like I can make a friend just about anywhere. I think having watched Board of Education and Board of Commissioners meetings, boy, it sure takes a very stalwart personality to stand up there, sit up there, and listen intently and do a good job at what you do. So I have the passion for education. I have experience from my jobs in the Navy and at FedEx, both as an officer and a leader and a teacher. I understand teaching. I understand what works in a classroom, that not all students learn the same, that as a teacher, you got to find a way to reach that student, okay?
30 seconds.
And lastly, grassroots. I'm here. Any number of you out there who've spent time at Lakeland Elementary, I see some heads nodding out there. You know me. You see me around this school. I've been part of the PTA, part of the PTA board, okay? I'm a watchdog dad, which means I get to do just about everything that needs to be done at this school, and I gladly do it because that's what makes our school awesome, and I'm glad to make it even better.
Susan Miller.
I'm just going to say I got the toughest part going after these 2 on this one. Besides basic required qualifications, I have honesty, integrity. I have had a child through all of the 4 shared schools that ACS and Lakeland have together, being LES, AHS, AMS out of order, and DES. I'm very analytical. I always seek to find answers for myself, and here lately I've seen that get me in trouble. I ask for clarification. I think outside the box. I don't like public speaking, as you can tell. I'm an individual with a passion. I want the school system to proceed. I want to see us grow. I want to see the community proud of the schools that are in our community and those that are helping us and assisting us, whether it be through partnerships or through our own schools.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll lead off with Jeff Hicks. That question is, what, in your opinion, are the top 3 issues in the Lakeland school system?
All right, top 3 issues. You could really boil it down to 1 core issue. The other 3 kind of revolve around that. Number one, the big overarching issue we have is that we're not a complete school system. We are a school system of one school. Now, I will grant you that that is a phenomenal school that has performed incredibly well with incredibly involved and an awesome group of parents and kids. So, but we are not a complete school system. So if you break that down into what else are the three core issues, number one, we need a middle school, and we need it badly. There's overcrowding at Arlington Middle School, and those of you who are parents out there who have kids at Arlington Middle School can confirm with those who don't that that is the case. It's desperately needed. There are some details about day-to-day life as an Arlington Middle School student that are troubling to me, and they need to be fixed. The number two issue is that once we go down that road, it's time to renegotiate our agreement with Arlington, and we need them. We're only building a middle school, and I really want to see that through, but we have to have an agreement with Arlington, and it requires careful, diligent negotiation. Okay? So that's issue number two. And issue number three is the big question mark. What's our vision? Where's our future? When are we going to become a complete school system? When are we going to build a high school?
30 seconds.
So I don't know the answer to that question, but we must remain diligent, and we must keep our focus on, okay, when do we need to start planning and building a high school? Because I do not want to let it get to where things have gotten at Arlington Middle. I have a tremendous respect for the teachers and administrators at Arlington Middle. It is not their fault. Okay? It is a good school. It is a great school. Let me correct myself. But there are too many kids there. Thank you.
Susan?
In my opinion, the three top issues for the Lakeland school system, number one is the repair of the relationship that we have with our educational partner at ACS. During the referendum, during the initial phases of Lakeland Prep, there was a lot of things that were said by the community that was negative against those schools. And I sincerely hope that we can come together with them to make sure that we ensure the education that our children need, especially once the middle school is built, that we secure them a place either in Donaldson if needed, or at the high school as well. The second is the perception that the school board or LSS has now from the community because of the sense of push that Lakeland Prep took. A lot of people like myself wasn't aware of the plans. They can say that it was widely publicized, but not having a student active in this school system other than reading what was published in the LSS columns and whatnot that I really didn't take heed of because my child went elsewhere. Didn't even know this was going on and that this would affect my child. The third thing is a very hard one to overcome, but that's trust. I had a question and a concern that I raised to the superintendent that was brought to the board, and I understand his reasoning for doing so.
30 seconds.
That question made it out to the public. That is concerning. That has no trust and no bearing in a school board. They need to be able to address issues like that and concerns like that at a private level and not out to the community.
Thank you. For question 4, we will actually, she hasn't. Oh, I'm sorry. Answered. So sorry. This is totally not my day job.
Look, I'll skip my turn.
Theresa.
Yes. Top 3 issues for the Lakeland school system. The first one is continued academic success. Currently, the BEP is not fully funded by the state. I've been in Nashville and spoke to Senator Bo Watson, the Vice Chair of the Ways and Means Committee, regarding this very issue. I will continue to advocate for full BEP funding at the state level. This will allow us to put more money into the classroom, provide additional technology, as well as increase teacher salaries, which in turn will move our student academic success up and make sure we continue what we're currently experiencing. LSS growth. Yes, we only have one school right now. We are building the middle school, and it's a great first step. The building is brick and mortar. The most important items that go inside the school building and that's the teachers, the students, and the items that they have for instruction. With the purchase of the 94 acres, we have land to build the high school when there is that student need at the high school level. So we have that vision already in place to have a complete K through 12 system when the need is there. The third issue is staff and administration retention. LSS grows leaders. The LES leadership teams have the opportunities to show their strength to all the municipalities across Shelby County through collaborative efforts. We need additional leadership opportunities so that they don't leave our system.
30 seconds.
In addition to the new leadership teams that have started this year, the opening of the middle school will give those individuals opportunity for that growth in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4, we'll actually start with Susan again. And what is your 5-year and 15-year vision for the Lakeland school system?
Within 5 years, we're going to have a middle school. It's going to be an excellent one. It's going to be on its initiating years. We're going to work hard to fill it with qualified staff and educators, and hopefully it will be on track to become another reward school just like LES has. Within 15 years, I see possibly the need for a high school. That's going to have to be evaluated very carefully. The impact to opening our own high school needs to be weighed against those of Arlington to make sure that we are not detrimental to their school system and their programs as well. Arlington does provide excellent high school education for our children, and I hope that if we do pursue the high school, that we match that. Thank you.
Thank you. Theresa.
My 5-year vision is to continue the current academic success that the students experience here at Lakeland. We also need to be looking for additional learning opportunities through enrichments of programs such as LEAP that we started this year, where certified teachers are able to help the students after school with their homework. Children are also able to use the library and the computer labs while they're at after-school programs with LEAP. Also, building the middle school will allow us to continue the continuity in education that we start here at Lakeland Elementary. For the vertical transitions, we'll collaborate with AMS and AHS once the middle school is built. Create a transition plan at the middle school opening to ensure the best outcome for children, teachers, and staff members while looking at what is best for the Lakeland school system and Arlington Community Schools. All students K through 8 will be in the Lakeland schools while working through these transition plans. And basically, and more than anything else, is continuing being fiscally conservative. We've proven that we are able to do that. As a board member, I have proven that we were able to put funds back for the rainy day. We have a very healthy savings account already started this year. 15-year plan. We've purchased the 94 acres of land that will allow for expansion once the student need is there at the high school level. Until that time, we'll continue to work collaboratively with Arlington Community Schools. We do have a great working relationship with them. The superintendents talk all the time. I'm the liaison, and I talk to the school board members over there as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Jeff.
My 5-year vision for what's going to become of Lakeland school system starts right here, Lakeland Elementary, keeping what we've got going. Lakeland Elementary has enjoyed tremendous success, especially here lately, and I'm tremendously proud of that, and I would like to see more pride in our school here in the community. On top of that, in the next 5 years, we definitely want to get that middle school built and open and operating, and hopefully that's in 3 years, in 2018. That's certainly the plan, and that's a plan that I'm on board with. No school opens and has everything perfect, has all the plans, the programs, all in place. But if we can put that same level of effort and participation and community involvement into our middle school that we have here at Lakeland Elementary, then we can have all the excellent programs that we want for our kids. When I talk to Arlington Middle School parents, and I talk to a bunch of them, as a parent who has a child about to enter middle school myself. Hey, what do you like? What do you not like? What would you do different if you could? Because that's my goal. What can we do better? What can we take of theirs and improve upon it? They have some phenomenal programs at Arlington Middle. Orchestra, band, choir. I was blown away when I toured there last time. Okay, but I want those programs at Arlington Middle.
30 seconds.
Okay, 15-year plan involves a high school somewhere in there. I don't know where, but there are student population models that we can use. We can track where we are as far as student population is compared to percent of capacity. I do not wish the same situation to befall us as with Arlington Middle, where it has gotten overcrowded like it has. So that's my 15-year vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 5, Theresa will be kicking us off. It's a multi-part question, so if you need it repeated any of the other 2, please let me know. What have you done in the last few or several years to make the Lakeland school system better? Any volunteer work? What role did you have with the PTA? Have you helped raise funds? And please be specific.
Okay. Over the last 4 years, I've worked to build the Lakeland school system. I started with the vision of the municipal school systems and worked with the leaders of the grassroots effort by lobbying with our legislators so that they would lift the ban on municipal schools. I was on the Lakeland School Transition Planning Committee, where we performed preliminary research on policies that we would present to the elected school board. Once elected, I performed additional research on the policies prior to the adoption of the policies for the system. For the past 2 years, I have served as a member on the school board. This gives me detailed knowledge of the Lakeland school system. I have been through 2 years of Tennessee school board training. Volunteerism, I've held numerous volunteer positions within the community as well as the PTA. I've served on the Lakeland School Transition Planning Committee. I've served on the Vote Yes Lakeland Schools Committee, worked with other leaders of the grassroots movement. I've served as the vice chair and then acting chair of Partnership Lakeland. I have over 10 years of service through the PTA. I was awarded the Life PTA Achievement Award. I've served on the Arlington High School Band Boosters Board, and I volunteered with the Lakeland Cub Scouts when my son was in Cub Scouts. As far as fundraising, I was actually the chair for Ways and Means Committee, which is the fundraiser portion, when my son was at the middle school. So I have been very active, and even when I was on the boards, when we'd had fundraisers, I was actively involved, helping out in any way that I could at that time as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Is it volunteerism at Lakeland Elementary, Lakeland School System, or just in general?
I'll reread the question for you, and this won't count against your time. What have you done in the last few/several years to make the Lakeland school system better? Any volunteer work? What role did you have with the PTA, and have you helped raise funds? Please be specific.
Okay, well, if we keep it to the Lakeland school system, for starters, I've been a member of the PTA for the last 4 years. I have donated my time, volunteered my time to any number of different committees. Everything from Watchdog Dad, where I was a PTA board member as the Watchdog Dad coordinator last year, to campus beautification, did the health expo. I led kids in exercises for Fit Club. It was Wednesday mornings for about 3 years. My wife actually helped run Fit Club, and I was just an extra volunteer. I think I may have said campus beautification already. Shoveling mulch, pulling weeds, doing what I could to make the school better, more beautiful, a better place for the kids to be. The great thing about Watchdog Dads, and I was very proud of my role there, and thank you PTA members, board members from last year who put up with me. I was the only male member of the PTA board. So I sat there quietly several times and just made my 2 cents known every now and then. But thank you for putting up with me. The great thing about that program is in a school that is dominated by women who are awesome, and thank you to the PTA members for doing such a great job. You women are fantastic in the things you accomplish. But it's great to have a male, in the school making a presence known, acting as a role model.
30 seconds.
Not just not just wandering the halls. I'm there to show the kids that it's important for dads to be out there and working hard. Okay. And the other thing that was great about Watchdog Dad was it didn't pigeonhole me into one job. It was whatever needed doing. Anything from sharpening 1,000 pencils to opening 100 yogurt containers. Whatever needed doing, I did it. And I did it for the betterment of this school and the betterment of these kids and the school system.
Thank you. Susan, would you like me to repeat the question? Okay.
Trying to figure out what's making it hum when he comes up here. Feedback is terrible. This is going to be a tough one for me to answer because I have been so disjointed from the school system since my son left here in 2006. So in the past few years, or several years, I haven't done anything with LES. I have supported my son through his schools, his teachers and whatnot through AMS and AHS. Fully supported him being the mascot. I did the electric slide in the grandstands during halftime. My stepdaughter goes to Donaldson. I fully support her over there. I'm a member of the PTA over there. I support their homeroom mothers. It's not all about being on the PTA though that makes you qualified to be a school board candidate. PTA plays a very important role in schools. They do the fundraising and participation that I greatly love. But as far as my personal volunteering with this school, I have to honestly say I haven't had any. Not since 2006. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 6, Jeff will be leading us off. Did you vote for or against the $50 million bond to immediately build a Lakeland Middle and High School? And why did you vote that way?
I voted for the bond. I did. I voted yes. There it goes again. Sorry. Frankly, I'm unashamed of that. I voted yes. I voted yes because I thought it was an ambitious plan that took care of the needs of our kids far into the future. I knew of a need of a middle school, and when I looked at capacity numbers at Arlington High School and said, if we think long term, boy, this makes a lot of sense. Was there another part to the question besides how did I vote on the bond?
Why?
Okay. I think I've explained that at least to a degree. I felt like it was an important step for our kids. Now, the bond did not pass. The vote was against, and I saw that as a setback. And I think that the Board of Education, I was happy that they regrouped and said, okay, well, we have to pick a new direction. We have to do what's best for the kids. And that's something I want to point out is, as a school board member, should I be elected, that I will do what's best for the kids, period. Okay, straight talk, no politics there. And that comes kind of straight from the Tennessee School Board Association. If you read their code of ethics, Article 1, Section 1, in all your dealings as a school board member,
30 seconds.
You will think of the children first. And that is one thing I guarantee you. I will think of the children first and what's important to them and what they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
Well, I think everybody knows I voted no. No secret there. I did so because having a daughter at DES, I was pretty much unaware that LSS was pursuing a middle school, high school venture. I attended an IH Managerial Park meeting where that came to light. Lakeland Prep was known, and being on the back row, I could clearly see that you could not pay the bond debt with the 55-cent tax proposal. The taxpayer in me said, whoa, where did this come from? It was moving too fast. Where are the justifications of the numbers? Yes, the perceived perception of AMS is that it's overcrowded. My son went through that school during its peak in overcrowding. He shared his lockers. He was shoulder to shoulder. He was rushed through the lunchrooms. He turned out fine. It's a part of growing up. You have to let your kids experience that type of growing up. He had a desk in his classroom. He got the best education possible out of AMS. He was in the portables. He had ADHD, severe ADHD, and he conquered it. He graduated from AHS, and he's now a sophomore at UT Martin. So to me, the bond was rushed, the school's planning was rushed, and it did not have the successful buy-in of the community, which you need to support a venture like that.
Thank you. Theresa?
As a school board member, you take an oath of office that your primary responsibility is to do what is in the best educational interest of children and to keep politics out of school board decisions. So, yes, I voted yes when it came time for the bond. The referendum has passed, and we need to rebuild our community. Labeling a person as a yes or no vote should no longer happen. We were all Lakeland residents, and we need to move forward as a city. I'm currently working with the PTA and have reached out to the senior center. I want to bring the seniors into the school, and we target areas where they can help. They have a wealth of knowledge and experiences to share with the children. I also want to bring the children into the community through service opportunities and performances so they can give back to the seniors and the community. Parents and the community members being active in the schools are important and help make a successful school and school system. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now be moving to the random question portion of our forum. The candidates did have an opportunity before the forum to draw the order that they would be going in, so they're well aware that the order will be Susan, Theresa, and Jeff. They will be all random questions though, so hopefully that they will be different. We did try to eliminate duplicates, but it's not always a perfect system, so hopefully we'll be getting some different questions. The candidates will go up and draw a question. They will tell me the answer, and then I will find it and do my best to read it as written. Question number 33. Good, I think this has words I can completely read. So what is your vision for education in the city of Lakeland? How does it support the economy and the quality of life in the community?
My vision is within 5 years we're going to have the infant stage of a middle school broken ground and hopefully having our first 2 or 3 grades transitioned over to it. I'm hoping that that is, like promised, bringing rooftops that will stimulate the economy, bring in new homes, new children that will help promote and keep our school system fully engaged and fully at full capacity, basically. Quality of life with kids comes opportunity for sports. I know that the Parks and Recreation is doing wonderful things coming up, and I hope that we can use part of their facilities, if not build our own for the middle school.
Thank you. And I did want to mention the candidates will each have a minute and a half for this section. I forgot to mention that. Theresa?
70.
Number 70. What would you do to tweak the design of the middle school set to break ground soon?
I honestly, after seeing the designs and knowing how they were put together, I don't know that I would really tweak any of it. There was a lot of collaboration that went in with the landowner, the school superintendents, the school board chair, the board members ourselves, had a lot of input into that design, what we wanted it to look like, as well as the developer that's going to be developing the areas around it. The school is actually going to be the heart of that I think it's like 600 acres, or is it maybe more than that? I can't remember off the top of my head. But the school's going to be sitting in the heart of that area. And the way they're designed that entire development around it is something that everyone's going to be really proud of, not only for this as far as the school, but the community will be as proud of it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff? What strengths do you personally have that make you feel that you best represent the parents of all Lakeland's children and in the best education possible for them?
I feel like I show up. I show up to life. I engage people. When I show up to Lakeland Elementary, I try and set it kind of like my energy toward the microphone. I try and sell Lakeland Elementary, and I try and make sure that everybody's having a good day and a good experience here. That's just kind of like the smallest little kernel that kind of helps things grow. Other than that, I've already talked about my background, my education. I currently am an instructor. Well, what does that mean? All right, well, I have to teach people. I understand what goes into teaching. I also have to sit in judgment of people older than I am and more experienced than I am. It's an awkward place to be in, but I understand what that's like, and I understand that the need to be objective and constructive. So I feel like with my personality, my leadership, and lastly, kind of my involvement.
30 seconds.
My involvement here at Lakeland and in my community. I'm a member of the Homeowners Association here. I do my best to make Oakwood the best neighborhood it can be. I devote a lot of time to that. I devote a lot of time to the PTA here. And when I can, I do charitable stuff too, like a St. Jude Marathon Relay. So I try to affect my community, my school, my neighborhood in the most positive way I can. And I think I can do that with the school board.
Thank you. Susan?
Six.
What factors make the biggest impact in helping Lakeland school systems achieve the status of exemplary school district?
LES, you're here. The students, the teachers, the administrators, the faculty, the leaders of LES made those students earn those grades. That's made them the rewards. As far as the exemplary status, it is a number of factors that feed into that program. Being led by Dr. Horrells, having Ms. Lockhart, and all of the participation of everybody within the school system and the board has really made the school an exemplary board and school system.
Thank you. Theresa? What is your stance on Common Core and why?
Personally, I do not care for Common Core. I think there are a lot of problems with it. Some of it is not developmentally appropriate that they're requiring of children, especially in the younger ages. I feel that as national standards, I see a benefit toward those, but we lose local control, what we want to teach our children. A lot of with the standards that I've seen, there's disparity in it. Where a child needs to be taught certain things isn't happening. I felt like some of where our bar may be here, they're actually having us bring our bar down. I don't want that for our children. I want our children to reach for the stars. I want our children to be challenged, but at the appropriate times when it's developmentally appropriate for their age. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Number one.
Number one. If we were putting together information for prospective Lakeland families, how would you sell our school?
Gosh, where to begin? I feel like I'm already in sales. Every time I'm here at the school, I bump into parents who are touring for the first time. They're looking around the Memphis area, considering Lakeland, and some who are seriously considering Lakeland come here and tour the school. So I feel like I'm already kind of in sales. I tell them what a great school it is, how awesome the parental involvement is, the PTA. I tout how the PTA has raised so much money and put a playground in and bought Promethean boards for all the classrooms and bought new computers for the computer labs and all of the teachers. None of that came from taxpayer dollars. None of it. That came from the parents working hard, rolling up their sleeves, getting out there and doing fundraising so that this school could be as great as it is. Honestly, I feel like this school sells itself. If you look at the numbers and the data, how great we've done over the last few years to include this year's TCAPs, they're phenomenal. But on top of that, I try and tell people that, if you bring your child here and you want them to have a good education, that you'll have a lot of like-minded parents who are going to work really hard with you to make this the best it can be, and please come join us.
Number 91.
How would you go about repairing the relationship with our educational partners?
Particularly with ACS, I feel like we need to have better relationships with them to secure our children's educational abilities to go to the high school once the middle school is built. I think through a renegotiation of the interlocal that gives us more options and a defined answer to if this, then this, will put us in a secure place, knowing that if we enact this portion of the clause, this is where our children will go for the remaining of the year. I think that's part of the problem that parents have right now, is that they don't know what will happen once we enact that 3-year out, what will happen to our high school students or our DES students. So it's going to take work, it's going to take time, it's going to take our community to help heal this. It's going to take support as well. They have a lot to offer. And I believe that we need to work our best magic to try to make sure that we repair that relationship.
Theresa? $60. Do you have any affiliations with groups that could bring negative attention to the Lakeland School Board?
Not to my knowledge, no. No.
Okay. You're up.
Easy one for you. Getting all the low numbers. Number 4.
Number 4. What shared services contract or contracts would you advocate for the Lakeland school system to continue using, and which would you review to determine if the Lakeland school system should discontinue using?
Well, so as a school board member, you don't run the schools. You try and make sure that the schools are well run. Certainly I would consult with Dr. Horrell and ask him if there were any vendor contracts that he thought that we could do better on. I know that in the past we've had issues with when we were part of Shelby County as one big unhappy family with Memphis City Schools, and we had centralized lunch services. The parental feedback I kind of got in from my own child was it just wasn't that good, and we weren't happy with it. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. I'm certain there's any number of other contracts to review. I know they just brought the before and after care in-house. That's kind of the latest move. Like I said, that would be something that I would speak with Dr. Horrell about. And it's being part of a board. You're not a decision maker. The board is the decision maker. So we would have to collaborate as a board and come up with decisions. I don't have any other contracts that I would consider any knowledge of right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
'61.
What are your thoughts on prayer at the opening of each school board meeting?
Bingo.
St. John 1.
Personally, I have nothing against it. I'm all for prayer. I've never been against prayer. Someone came out and said that I had officially complained about prayer at the school board meeting. My exact words to Dr. Horrell is that I was shocked that there was prayer at a board meeting, given the separation of church and state. LSS's own policy says that prayer cannot be instructor-led or school-led. You have to wonder whether or not the LSS board itself is considered an instructor or school. So I have nothing against personally having prayer at the board meetings. I just question whether or not the legality of it puts us at risk of losing any type of funding or putting us in a bad light because of the separation of church and state.
Thank you. Theresa.
'69.
Many parents are outraged by the classroom size allowed at Arlington Middle School, with some classrooms reported to contain 35 students. Since the Lakeland school system has no control over this, how are you willing to address this immediate concern over the next 2 to 3 years until our middle school is complete?
The first step would be for our superintendents to talk with one another. If that couldn't be addressed through them, then it would come back to the school boards to try and sit down together and try and come to a solution to see if that could happen. If that can't happen, then I'm not afraid to take something to the school board as a resolution and try to do something officially as a school board body to take action upon. Our children are important. We have to provide them the best education as we possibly can, but under the current agreement, we just really don't have that much of a voice other than going through the proper steps. Number one, the superintendent and the administrators trying to talk with each other, trying to work things out, and then, the school board's talking. Past that, it would have to be a new interlocal agreement that the school boards would have to enter into. Can that happen before the middle school's opened? Potentially. That's just something we'll have to wait and see once we give our notice to start building the middle school.
Thank you. Yes.
There's a lot of slips of paper in there. Be here all night. All right, number 27.
What is your opinion of the current school district policies towards students with special needs, i.e. mainstreaming behavioral problem students, English as a second language, breakfast programs, students who face the problems of poverty, family problems, etc.?
Okay, so that question has so many parts to it that it's hard to address any of them in any significant manner in 90 seconds. So I'll start with the fact that I know about special needs. I have an older sister who's Down syndrome. So there's a special place in my heart for special needs kids. Mainstreaming behavioral problem students, man, talk about a tough problem to solve. You can't really. It depends on how bad the behavior is. How can you expect kids to learn with a child who's acting out severely? You just can't have that. It will not allow for learning in the classroom. What's the solution to that? I'll be honest, I don't know. I certainly have a place in my heart also for kids whose families are struggling, who go to bed hungry or not sure where their next meal is coming from. So as far as programs for different programs for underprivileged kids and breakfast programs, I'm all for that. If you have the wherewithal to move your family to Lakeland, then I say that we as a community do our best to take care of them, to afford them the best education possible here at Lakeland Elementary and beyond.
Thank you.
$47.
What ideas do you have for the new middle school to help it thrive?
Technology. Kids are getting access to technology earlier and earlier in life, and educational courses are based on technology, and the use of technology would help our students get a leg up on their future careers and moving into the workforce if they go on to they're going to go on to high school, but on to college. Technology has evolved so tremendously over the past 10 years. I, for one, remember my first hard drive of 10 gigs or 10 megs. I thought I'd never fill it up. Now you can't even get a thumb drive that small. But definitely good technology at their fingertips, whether it be laptops, iPads, just whiteboards, everything that we can do to get them used to using technology, used to safeguarding their information as well.
30 seconds.
But that's what I feel that that'll help us make us thrive is technology.
Thank you. Can you comment on any educational gaps or weaknesses in your district?
Not specifically, no. When we got our testing results back this past year, we had double-digit gains in our gap closure. So, and for already a high-performing school to have that type of a gains in your gap closure is saying something. It's something that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen easily, and that's one of the things that put us receiving the awards that we did as far as Lakeland Elementary and as a school district. Are there things that we can improve on? Yes. That's where we have our administration, the local administration, that she'll work directly with the teachers to figure out what needs to happen to see what we can do to close those gaps even more. When we hired Trudy, which is our academics specialist, she was able to come in and help the teachers target the children. I want to say target, to pick out which children that needed that extra individualized attention.
30 seconds.
So I see that moving us forward to maybe help reduce the number of children that actually is going to need those individualized attention, because the teachers will be more aware of it going forward.
Thank you.
Number 50.
What is the status of the joint needs assessment between Lakeland and Arlington for middle and high school kids? Do you feel this would have been better if done first before planning of building a school?
All right, so there's been a lot of banter about a joint needs assessment. And there has not been a joint needs assessment. And that was addressed at the school board meeting that I attended back on June 1st. So that in its form that from the person it was asked was not addressed. It has never taken place. I don't feel like there was any need for a long, drawn-out, super involved study of whether or not we needed a middle school. Absolutely not required. Not at all. Any parent who spent time at Arlington Middle knew before that question ever got asked that it was necessary, that it was needed. So, status of a joint needs assessment, it never was and never is. Now, when it comes to determining the need for a high school, we will certainly need to, as I mentioned earlier, use some good modeling information, use hard data, use numbers, enrollment versus capacity. At what point are we going to absolutely need a high school to determine where we go after that? So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
$19.
Considering the fact that if you win a seat on the Lakeland School Board, you'll be working with our own Lakeland City Schools, how will you further ongoing support and fundraising for nonprofits such as the PTA and the Lakeland Educational Foundation?
That's a good question. Very good question, actually. As a school board member, I'm going to fully support any fundraising participation that we get from any outside nonprofit or support organization. PTAs have been here since the inception of the school. They play a very important role. I'm not so familiar with the Lakeland Education Foundation. My understanding is that they work together to get monies and for grants to do special things, much like PTA. But anything that I can do to assist and help the PTA or any nonprofit or any fundraiser for that matter for any of the schools in Lakeland, I would be standing totally behind them.
Thank you. Theresa.
Number 3.
Tell us about an issue you have had with a current school system policy and how you would fix it.
I guess I would look at our technology policy. I would like for us to be able to have the children bring their own devices into them. So we need to start working with the children as far as digital citizenship. We need to be teaching them how to be online safely, safeguard against cyberbullying, those sort of things. We need to be sure that they're well. We need to have policies in line to make sure that that's taken care of, so that when we do the one-on-one initiative, the children are well prepared for it ahead of time, as well. Because there's a lot of stuff that can be out there that can hurt our children, and we need to make sure that they're definitely kept safe. And I think that's one thing through our technology policy that I want to make sure that is definitely in place to make sure our children are safe.
Thank you. Jeff?
Number 40.
Do you see yourself primarily as a representative of the community or as a representative of the school system?
Without question, the school system first. That's what a school board member does. If I'm elected, that will be my job. As I mentioned, Tennessee School Board Association, from their very own code of ethics, Article 1, Section 1. In all dealings when it comes to your job as a school board member, children first. Now, that doesn't mean we can detach ourselves from the community. And that certainly means that we have to try and involve the community in the planning and the vision for schools. I want to be part of that. I want to be part of teaching people, hey, here is what we need. Here's what we have identified as our need. Please join us. Please pull with us. Because it takes that community buy-in to make that happen. But when it comes to determining what is needed and what is not, there's no politics there. None. And for me, I'm a representative of the children.
30 seconds.
And they come first.
And this will be our last round.
Y'all were thinking it. I'm just the outspoken one, remember? 36.
Do you believe principals should have autonomy to run their own school building?
Yes, I do. I think that the principal should be ultimately in charge of the facilities, of how the administration works. They, of course, report to the superintendent. He adheres to the policies, makes sure that everybody is aware of the policies, but I do believe that facilities that are run by their principals and their staff are well-oiled and function very efficiently.
Thank you. Theresa?
'84.
Do you feel the public school system environment is more competitive since the municipal school systems were formed? Why or why not?
Definitely they're more competitive. You've got, each school system is trying to create what's best. And when you have multiple school systems fighting for what's best, you're not only fighting for students, but you're fighting for to be the first with technology, the first with different opportunities so that parents will move into your district. Not only that, but you're also fighting to have the best academic scores, for your children. Luckily, Lakeland won. So right now we're top dog. But yes, it also I think it's giving the municipalities where we're having to offer a better education for the children within Shelby County. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good thing this is the last one, and I'm running out of water. All right, number 54.
One of the school board candidates encouraged parents to send their children to Donaldson instead of Lakeland Elementary School, using a social media platform and in the public eye. Are you this candidate, and what are your thoughts on this?
I am not that candidate, and I'll pretty much leave it at that. Everybody in this room knows that I love Lakeland Elementary School. I love living in Lakeland. I love the Lakeland school system, and as I said, I'm kind of feel like I'm a salesman. I'm trying to tell people how great this school is, how great our town is. And I certainly hope that we can get enough civic pride that we're all behind the schools here in Lakeland. I'm proud that my kids go to Lakeland Elementary. I want everybody else in town to think the same thing. So that is going to be my pitch. Donaldson is a great school. It's undoubtedly, just look at the recent scores. They scored very well. And I think the parents of the kids who go there should be proud of that. But I'm going to tell people that if you want a great school for your kids, to move to Lakeland. Send your kids here. Come join us.
Thank you. So with that, that concludes our question portion. I did want to reiterate that the PTA board did not write any of the questions that we asked for public submission. We did also allow the candidates to preview, although not get a copy beforehand of the questions, and they did have the opportunity to veto 3 questions? Is that what they had? I think it was 3 questions. And so that, just in keeping in all transparency of the questions that were submitted, I wanted to let the public know that as well. So with that, I wanted to thank Jeff Hicks, Theresa Henry, and Susan Miller for all being here today. I think it speaks volumes for your character that you showed up today to answer tough questions, to tell us about yourself, to tell us why you wanted to run. As a member of the PTA board, we sincerely thank you. I think it was a great forum, and I know that the candidates will also be available for a meet and greet should anybody want to say hello or ask any questions one-on-one. So with that, we are concluded.